So I wanted to talk about the recent mass execution in Saudi Arabia. So last week, I don't remember what day, so forgive me, Saudi Arabia executed 83 people by beheading in one day. And as well as being incredibly gruesome, this is actually a record. They have never executed this many people in one day before. I believe the most recent record was 79, so it's not like they were too far off, but first of all, I don't really believe in the death penalty, so this is just kind of horrifying in general. Two, beheading has to be the absolute worst way to go in the modern age. I mean, I'm sure it was the worst way to go in most ages, but it's just genuinely gruesome. And by the way, these are public executions. Like, this isn't being done in a back room somewhere. These are being done in kind of the public square, which just kind of adds an additional level of horror and gruesomeness and brutality to this already barbaric practice. And the reason I really wanted to talk about this, other than like we shouldn't have the death penalty, is Saudi Arabia is one of our closest allies, and right now we need them more than ever. And the reason we need them more than ever is because of the crisis in Russia and Ukraine and how much it is making us more dependent on Saudi oil. And not just us, by the way, Europe as well. And this kind of feels like, now I don't know for sure, but this kind of feels like a flex from the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, pretty much saying, hey, we can do whatever we want, regardless of how gruesome, because you need us, therefore you can't really, condemn us. I mean, Joe Biden hasn't said anything about this. Jen Psaki hasn't said anything about this. I haven't heard any public condemnations from any world leader about this. And I think it's because at this juncture, we just, we're desperate for the Saudis' oil. And because of that, we give them a pass. I mean, if you recall, Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist that was butchered by Saudi assassins, there was no consequences for that. Trump said there would be consequences, and then there weren't. Biden said there'd be consequences, and then there weren't. And there's been a lot of talk. Sure, I mean, Biden's talked a good game about Saudi Arabia, but you know, he's been in Riyadh recently discussing with the Saudis what to do about oil and the production of oil. And by the way, when inflation started and there was serious increases at the gas pump, you know, the OPEC countries, of which Saudi Arabia is one, were reported to be intentionally squeezing the supply of gasoline in order to raise the prices and make even more profits. All of that aside, I mean, first of all, Saudi Arabia should not be a U.S. ally just in general, right? Because they're a genuinely monstrous regime. They're committing a genocide in Yemen right now. I mean, even if you don't care about the Yemeni people, and you really should, but like they're the primary spreader of the Wahhabi variant of Islam, which is a fundamentalist variant of Islam that is very violent. They are Wahhabism is a sect of Islam that has been behind many terrorist groupings and is actively violent towards the West. And we know that Saudi Arabia is behind Wahhabism and that they fund Wahhabist schools and mosques and things, but we don't say anything because we require the raw resources that they have. By the way, this is an excellent reason to have a Green New Deal and to move off of fossil fuels just in general, because that way we don't have to tolerate the terrible regimes around the world who happen to have oil. There is no good reason for the US to be allies with Saudi Arabia except for the fact that they have oil. So I want us, as people who think critically about politics, but also if you're an American, as an American, I want you to think about what it says about us as Americans. That our country is perfectly happy snuggling up to a terrible, brutal regime that massacres civilians, that is starving a country, and beheads people in the public square, that spreads a variant of a religion that has actively attacked the United States, and funds proxy wars where the US has been involved or our allies have been involved. Why do we tolerate all that, right? And the answer obviously is oil, but it's not really a good answer. So when the US cuddles up to these terrible people, these terrible regimes, it reflects badly on us too. Like we don't get a pass, you know? So the sooner we can get off of whatever relationship we have with Saudi Arabia, the better. And the first way to cut that tie is, well, in the short term, it's to find oil from somewhere else, right? In the long term, it's to get off oil completely, and then we can treat Saudi Arabia like the pariah state that it deserves to be. There is no reason that the U.S. and Saudi Arabia should be allied. There's no reason that Saudi Arabia should have so many should have so much money and weapons supplied to it by the U.S. and other countries, except for the fact that they have oil. So, use this as a reminder why we need to get rid of our addiction to Saudi Arabia, and you know, uh, rest in peace, I guess, to everyone who was executed. I don't know what all of them were executed for, but I can't imagine all of them were guilty, and certainly none of them were deserving of death or beheading. Just being against the death penalty in general, but especially beheading, it's just so gross and cruel, and it's just wrong. It just, none of it really feels right. And to know that the country that I call home is affiliated with that, proudly so, is just, it's gross and it's icky, and I don't like it. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, throw a like on it, share with your friends, and subscribe for more of our content. You can also find all of our videos and clips on youtube.com. Just search Let Them Eat Bread and you'll find all of our content. Alright guys, see you next time. Bye for now.